Welcome to episode 11 of Birds vs. Boys. I got an L this week and Aidan got a tie, but we'll get into that later on in the show. As always, I am KMess, your host, KMess22 on Twitter, and I am joined, as always, with the one and only Aidan Powers.
Well, I've seen better days and better weeks and better years. But when it all comes down and when it's all said and done at the end of the year, I can rest easily at night saying, well, at least we didn't go 2-14. At least we only went 2-13-1.
Hey, the glass is half full, and soon our alcohol glasses will be full. But before we talk about the Cowboys loss and the Eagles tied to the Cincinnati Bengals. I can't believe they tied that team for the second time. We are going to bring you around the NFL as we always do on this Tuesday episode. So since we have a lot to cover with the Cowboys and the Eagles, as always, we're going to go around the NFL with the scores in 1 minute. The first week, I think we did it in about a minute and a half. Last week, I think we brought it down a little bit less. So let's see if we can do it even quicker today. So, Vince, if you could bring up the timer. We got a new clock every week. I love it. All right. Here we go, Vince. 3, 2, 1. The 49ers lose another tight end to the MetLife turf, and the Giants lose another game. 36-9, 49ers over the Giants.
The Cleveland Browns might actually be good. Browns 34, football team frauds 20.
A very Patriots/Raiders score, 36-20 Patriots.
Mediocre, overhyped backup quarterback steps in and saves the Bears. Bears 30, assholes 26.
The Texans stink. The gold standard of the NFL is back. Steelers 28-21 over the Texans.
Colts 36, Jets 7. The Jets are the worst team in the league.
Titans 31, Vikings 30. The 1 week I don't bet on them, they cover.
Matt Rule gets his first win. Panthers 21, Chargers 16.
I got completely screwed on another bet by the refs with the Rams money line, but Josh Allen is for real. Bills beat the Rams 35-32.
Cardinals, what the hell happened, guys? Lions 26, first win of the year. Cardinals first loss of the year 23.
Mike Evans has 2 catches for 2 yards and 2 touchdowns. Bucks win 28-10 over the Broncos.
The Sunday night finale. Packers 37. Aaron Rodgers goes off. They are undefeated. Saints 30.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I think it's almost impossible to do it in a minute. But we'll get there.
It is pretty tough.
Maybe we'll make it like around the NFL in 90 seconds.
90 seconds. Well, here's the thing. We got bye weeks coming up, so we have our chance to cut down games. So I think we'll be good going forward.
That is very true.
Honestly, the way our teams are going, we might be talking about the NFL more and more because no one's going to say, hey, I really want to hear 45 minutes Eagles and Cowboys recap for teams that are 0-2-1.
Do you even want to talk about the Cowboys and Eagles for that long?
No, I could talk about it for 5 and I think I could get my point across, but I think we got to have some fun with it at least. So here's the thing. I thought of this, earlier today or yesterday. We both lost. I know we tied, but in reality it was worse than a loss. So I'm thinking as a ritual, if there is a week where we're recording and both of our teams lose, I think we should drink on the job. I think we should toast it up and cheers it up. Misery loves company. Let's drink a little bit together.
You want to pour them out?
Yeah, let's get it. Let's pour it out. I got mine. Are you ready for yours?
We'll let the people that are listening, not watching us, we'll let them. I'll do the little.
Nice.
So what are you going with?
All right. I have ammonia. Oh, God. Yeah, so I have ammonia cleaner here. I'm going to pour this and drink bleach. Ammonia,
bleach.
Lemon scent, all-purpose cleaner.
Hey, at least it might taste okay going down since it's lemon scented.
It doesn't smell great, but then again, neither does New Amsterdam. I've had plenty of that in my life.
So, I mean, are you going to be alive by the end? Are we going to get to Birds versus Boys before you survive?
Let's hope not.
I'm going with a little bit of the Bullet Bourbon. Might as well go straight to the not as good as the, yes, we lost, but we didn't tie to the Bengals. We lost to probably the MVP in the league. So I don't need to kill myself with ammonia yet.
Well, cheers.
Right. Salute, my friend. Ammonia and bourbon.
All right.
Oh, it's so
Gotta
good.
Make sure not to spill this on the computer. Ow.
Okay. Now, before we get into Birds versus Boys, we have a couple other subjects we want to touch on real quick in the NFL. One kind of pertaining to Dallas. Kind of seems like the Earl Thomas dream for me and most Dallas Cowboys fans might be dead. All reports are saying that Earl Thomas Monday evening is being worked out by the Houston Texans. He is in Houston. Adam Schefter is saying that his signing with the Texans is more likely than not. All he needs to do now is pass COVID protocol.
And not have an orgy in a Houston hotel room. And I think he might be able to do it. I guess part of my Cowboys analysis from yesterday is caught up with Earl Thomas. The secondary is just not good. And I don't know what you do. And now he's off the market and you're kind of stuck with what you have. And that's a problem for both of our teams is there's some position groups where there's no fixing what the hole is.
We'll get into that. But do you see Earl as a fit with the Texans? I mean, they're already 0-3. They're completely fraud. Bill O'Brien, I think, needs to be gone after this year. I mean, is he really a fix? I know he's got the question marks, but are you just bringing him in as shooting in the dark here as a Texan?
I think I honestly think it's a good spot for him just because they're pretty much out of it and they really got screwed with the schedule, but it's a good fit because he can stay low key and he's still a solid player. It's everything else that's been the issue. So I think the Texans were a good spot.
And hey, maybe he can do exactly what the Honey Badger did, sort of revive his career on the field with the Texans and then go off to another team and get paid.
There you go. Best case scenario for him.
Now, your favorite team in the league, the Falcons, do it again. And they get done by one of your favorite quarterbacks in the league, Nick Foles.
They are the biggest group of assholes that I have ever watched play football. I cannot believe that they did it again. But in a much more real sense, I can believe it. And I thank them because they are the only thing saving the Eagles from being the most self-destructive team in the league. They are so dumb. They are so dumb. I can't stand watching the Falcons play. It's just watching. It's like watching when you played Roller Coaster Tycoon and you purposely made a roller coaster that would self-destruct and people would just fly off and
just
die.
Go around and then up and gone.
You'd go 100 miles an hour at first, do 3 loops, and it looks super sick. But then you never finished building the roller coaster, so everyone would fly off and die. That's what watching the Falcons is like. Assholes.
So I took this game on Brandon Sports Radio. Falcons -3 at home. I'm cruising. I was making the graphic that was going to be tweeted out later. I was putting the green check mark on there, and then I see Nicky Foles come in with the black visor, and I'm like, oh, no.
The visor. He looks so sick in the visor. I'm not going to lie. You never want to see Nick Foles in that position. Like, I know you want to talk about Mitch Trubisky and whether this is it, which it is, but is Foles going to be the answer? I don't know. I don't think so. But in that scenario, like that's his perfect. He's a relief pitcher. He's the guy who comes in and throws 96 on the black for 1 inning, and he can get you that 1 inning, and he can get you 3 outs. If you need him to go 7 innings, he can't do it. And if he goes the rest of the year and the Bears are good, I'll be shocked.
He wasn't even that great yesterday either. I mean, he just wasn't Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah, which is really saying something because I'm pretty sure you could say that about any other quarterback in the league.
I mean, it is done, right? You can't go back to Mitch now unless it's injury-wise.
Unless Foles gets hurt. It's over, and I think they knew that going in. They just had to try one last time, and they had no time to waste. It's really telling that they were 2-0 and wouldn't even give him to the end of week 3 when they had a winning record.
I mean, that
more than
shows
even
you that Matt Nagy knows that they're the most fraud 2-0, now 3-0 team in the league.
Yes, absolutely.
And I mean, I could see Matt Nagy getting fired after this year with a winning record.
I could see that too. I could absolutely see that too. It's the wins against the Falcons say a lot more about the Falcons than they do the team that beats them. Yes, that's a subtweet and a diss to the Cowboys. It says a whole lot more about who the Falcons are than the teams that are beating them.
The Dallas Cowboys should be 0-3 right now. That's not a question.
I wish we would be ahead of you because we are 0-2-1.
How incredible is that? Now, I don't want to get too deep into this. I just want a yes or no from you. Are the Jets the worst team in the NFL?
Yes. They might be the worst team in the SEC.
It might be the worst team in the Pac-12.
They can't even play. I mean, we just leave it at that. I mean, they suck. They stink. Adam Gase is the worst coach in the league. It's not close. I'm not sold on Sam Darnold, but I'd love to see him in a scenario where it wasn't a disaster every single week. I don't even know what else there is to say. They're dreadful. They're horrible.
Remember, I kind of want Sanchez back, and can't wait with Bart Scott. Remember when they were beating New England in New England, but they were still terrible then, but they just had this moxie about them and the defense.
Yeah, they had a very solid defense, and you're right. Moxie's a good word because I don't know if they were ever good, but they were entertaining.
Yes.
But I mean, now it's dreadful. I don't know who would even want to follow that team. Football season is back, which means you should be betting with Bovada. Bovada is easy to use. It is where I placed my first ever bet. We will post our promo link everywhere we post this podcast. Come Sundays in the fall, cash in and bet with Bovada.
And as we are recording this, Patrick Mahomes throws another touchdown, and it just shows you the difference in good NFL teams and then our NFL teams.
Yeah, I mean, if you'd like, him throwing that touchdown's a perfect segue to the Eagles if you'd like to start with them since they were in the 1 o'clock slot. I mean, just watch 5 minutes of this game and compare it to our offense. Look at the firepower that this offense has compared to what the Eagles have. I mean,
do the Eagles have an offense?
No. And I thought the announcers did such a great job yesterday of kind of just like laying it out and being honest and being detailed and thorough and just being like the commentator would ask his partner, where's the deep shots? And he goes, well, his partner, I'm sorry, I don't know their names. It sucks that they were on the F list game on CBS because I thought they were a lot better than a lot of teams that have been on Eagles games lately. And he'd be like, well, where do you want them to go? Like, how is this deep shot going to work? Like, who do you want them to throw it to? Because Deshaun's out with a hamstring, Reagor's out. Like, who do you want them to take this shot to? And they were saying for the Bengals who have struggled on defense, look, they're just manning up. They're manning up, pressing up and saying, look, if one of these receivers can beat us one-on-one, that's fine. Like we'll take our chances. And it's going to be like that every single week because this team has no firepower. It is bad. It was just like tiring to watch that offense. It's tiring. It's exhausting. They have to fight for every yard.
I mean, to me, an outsider, it seemed like Miles Sanders might have been your best player yesterday. And he had, 19 carries going into the fourth quarter, or going into overtime, am I correct?
Yes, and I wish they would have run him a little bit more in the second half. I thought they got away from him in the second half. In overtime, I was kind of fine with the strategy. It's ironic because everyone wanted them to run. And then let's get into the disaster debacle at the end. Then they start running and playing for a 59-yard field goal. It was cowardice. It was disgusting. A borderline fireable if this season continues on the truck that it's on. I mean, that was putrid, and that was a total incompetence by our head coach.
Honestly, how do you obviously Carson has not been the quarterback that's really in there this year. And especially yesterday, he was missing receivers. He was overthrowing guys. But then at the end, you and I talked about this earlier, he was making some of his best throws on that drive. And he was kind of looking somewhat like Carson Wentz.
Yes.
Why do you then just abandon that in the most crucial moments of the game to then crawl up in a ball and say, all right, we're just going to settle for a not guaranteed field goal
59-yard field
attempt?
goal. Yeah, 59
I know
before.
Jake Elliott's phenomenal, and Jake Elliott probably hits that game winner if they don't false start. But still, go for the kill shot. Your guy's actually slinging the rock right now.
I know, and you know what? It didn't even have to be a kill shot. Run some quick plays. They were trying to get Miles Sanders involved in the passing game. Like, why were you playing for a 59-yard field goal? Why was that your plan? Yeah, everyone's talking about the decision to punt. You were being a coward before we even got to that point. Like, the whole, I mean, you get down there, you're at the opponent 42, and it's like you quit. You thought the only option on the field was taking a miracle 59-yard field goal because this guy who missed a 52-yarder earlier in the season and left it short is now going to pick up 7 yards. It was disgusting. It was horrible.
Was it Dougie P looking back to 2017 and thinking, wow, remember that? I forget, 60-yard field goal that Jake Elliott hit against the Giants that just put us into a frenzy and we won the Super Bowl this year. Maybe that exact thing's going to spring this team forward.
Yeah, but you know what else they did in 2017? Had an efficient offense. So run a play. I don't understand the game plan at all. And you know what? It's all around. And I brought this up last week. You want to point to one guy or one thing, and you can't do that because they're that bad. Before, they had 2 possessions where they could have been in field goal range. So Wentz has the incredible pass to Ertz. So they're looking good, right? And then Lane Johnson gets a false start. So, okay, let's go back 5 yards. And then Carson Wentz gets an 11-yard rush. He did very well running yesterday. He truck sticks a cornerback for 11 yards. You're in guaranteed locked-in field goal range now. Now we're talking 40-yard field goals, high 40s, but still a 40-yard field goal. Bring it back holding. And then obviously on the last play, you played for a 59-yard field goal because your coach was a coward, and then your idiot offensive lineman jumps on a 59-yard field goal. They are a bad team. They do everything wrong. From the smallest detail to the biggest thing, they can't do it right. They have no talent. They have no discipline. They have no firepower on offense. They are unbearable to watch. And also, my eyes are starting to watering. If you're watching on YouTube, it's not because I'm crying over the Eagles. The ammonia is like I'm getting whiffs of it. I should have moved it before we started. This is funny till I could sniff it the entire time.
I haven't seen you take a sip yet, though.
I don't. If we play it back, Vince will probably find it. But I go and turn to get a sip of my drink, and then remember that it's ammonia. And
I probably shouldn't. I feel like you need to go get an actual drink because I'm actually sipping on this, and now I feel lonely.
Yeah. Well, how about when we get into the Cowboys and
Okay.
I know you have some rants lined up. I'll go grab a drink because we'll find the clip. I literally turn and go for the ammonia. That's how I felt watching our team punt and not go for it.
Give me some of your famous position group grades.
Oh,
everyone get that together?
Okay. Jason Peters, what's below an F? Are you fucking kidding me? What a turnstile. Nate Gary, what are you do? What are you even doing? What are you doing?
I saw Nate. I think Nate Gary's given up
the last show.
Is it true Nate Gary's given up a catch on every one of his targets this year?
I saw that stat. I think it's a little bit exaggerated, but it absolutely feels like that. He has been so bad. And on the touchdown, he's turning around and running to a spot, and he's not looking at all. And it's him and Trevor Williams, who's the backup corner, because Darius Slay's arm is hanging off like Harry Potter when that professor took all the bones out of his arm. It's just a disaster to watch some of these guys play. It's F's. I don't want to go back to F, but coaching staff F-. Jason Peters E. Nate Gary, you don't even get a letter grade. Why are you even in the class? You should be in 6th grade, not college. Horrible. And I said this at the end of the last show. It's either you win this game or get ready to scout Micah Parsons at Penn State so you have a formidable linebacker. Well, here we are.
But guess what? They're going to miss out on Micah Parsons by 1 pick because they tied and didn't lose.
Yeah, and I thought it was hilarious. Some of the people spinning it, I saw Coward, and there were a few other people in the Philly media saying, Well, he did the right thing because you know what? They actually gained ground on the NFC East. Do you think anyone in that locker room fucking cares that they
No.
gained ground and they tied? No, he was a coward. And he didn't only not believe and not trust in his offense. People haven't brought this up. He didn't trust his defense. That defense had 8 sacks. They had 2 of them in overtime. They were winning at the line of scrimmage, and it's the first time they've done so all year. There were 19 seconds left. If you run a play and it fails at best, the Bengals probably have 11 or 12 seconds with 1 timeout, which means they get 1 play, which means you did not trust your defense for 1 play in a game where they had 8 sacks and had completely dominated in overtime and put you in positions to win. Again, and you didn't believe in them, just like you didn't believe in your special teams or your offense. You, in 1 play, in that decision to punt, he somehow didn't believe in his special teams and Jake Elliott from 64, his offense to go on 4th and 12, and his defense to get 1 stop on 1 play. He quit on the entire team.
No one gets ice cream. No ice cream.
No ice cream for Doug. F-.
I will tell you something as Butker misses a 58-yarder.
I had him in fantasy, so this is just ridiculous. That actually looked good, though. I'm not going to lie.
I will tell you one thing I did notice when I was had the Eagles game on one TV and Red Zone on my big TV. I saw there was a moment. I don't remember if it was the first half or the second half.
I just looked at the ammonia again. I literally reached. All right, I gotta do something about this. Sorry, go ahead.
There was a moment when it looked like Carson was a little dinged up. I don't know if he was like shaking his head. He kind of looked like he was hurting. And then they panned to the sideline with Jalen Hurts. You know, he had his helmet and he was talking to the one coach. But I will tell you what, Jalen Hurts, the look in he looked fired up that he thought there was a chance to go in, and he smells blood in the water because he hears what's happening, and he saw what Nick Foles did with this Eagles team to go to the Super Bowl, and he is like a shark in water that smells blood.
And Jalen Hurts is like a catfish in water. Maybe an opportunity will fall all the way down to the bottom, and only then would he be able to succeed because he can't throw the ball. That's exactly why he had to transfer out of Alabama, because they had a quarterback in college, not in the pros, in college, who was better than him, who doesn't even start on his team in the NFL now.
Hey, Fitzmagic was perfect the other night.
He was fantastic, yeah, and he's better than Tua at this point. And if he's better than Tua and Tua is better than Jalen Hurts, where does that get you?
Who was the quarterback for the Bengals the last time the Eagles and Bengals tied?
Oh, probably Carson Palmer, correct?
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Wow, really? That makes it even worse.
There you go.
For that. He kills us all the time. I don't know what it is. I'm getting a headache now. The ammonia thing was funny for like 30 seconds. But the Carson Wentz thing, I'm going to go full Neil deGrasse Tyson here. And then we can get into the Cowboys. So everyone's saying, like, Carson's been bad. Like, he is bringing this team down because he's bad. I'm going to go full Neil deGrasse Tyson and make you think about this. Who is he holding back? Like, who are you watching and saying, wow, they're playing so well? If only Carson would pick it up. Like, X player here is having such a great season that only if Carson could get him the ball, they'd be successful. We talk about the Steelers all the time and how last year they were just a quarterback away from being successful and making the playoffs. Do you get that vibe with this Eagles team? Is Carson Wentz holding this team back? Because I don't get that feeling watching them.
I don't think he looked good at times yesterday, but I don't think he's the main reason that they're not winning.
I get that the quarterback is the first to get blamed.
Of course.
You just have to live with that. But
especially a quarterback with such clout on his name, a quarterback who was drafted number 2 overall, a quarterback who was having an MVP season, who got hurt and then had his backup win the Super Bowl. It's going to be even more expedited for him.
And then had a team that was dumb enough to not help the team and just get a gimmick backup quarterback in the second round. That pick came out back to bite them again. Like, you might have needed help on offense yesterday. And Dallas Goedert goes out. Deshaun Jackson goes out. For them not to have depth and to be like throwing shit at the wall and hoping it sticks with backup quarterbacks in a quarterback factory somehow is working out even worse than I thought. But I was impressed with Wentz in this fact that he had 9 carries for 65 yards and a touchdown. I think it was him just being like, I just need to will this team to a win just to show like I can do this. And at the you saw in the second half, they flashed the receivers they had left. It was like John Hightower, Deontay Burnett, Greg Ward. It was the same cast of characters as he was doing in December.
I saw you out there.
Yeah, pretty much. They might as well give me a shot. We'd have the redhead connection, but it was just like him. I'm going to run and I'm going to will this team to a win. And he was running over guys and he was going back to that escapability Houdini stuff where Jason Peters was getting beat every play and then Wentz would have to escape from a defensive lineman's grasp. So I love that part where he was like, look, I just have to do this. Sometimes that leads to interceptions, but I just feel this like if the team was good and there were good players around him and he had somebody capable of catching the ball and he had a left tackle that wasn't a turnstile, then he wouldn't look like this. He is forcing things because everything else around him is collapsing.
I'm not going to say that Reagor, was the wrong choice. We can't, he's obviously had 2 injuries, but he hasn't been able to show anything yet. But that Justin Jefferson kid sure showed up yesterday for the Vikings that he can play. And you're right. I mean, look what Dak has around him, right? Imagine if Carson had just one of those guys. Just imagine if he had just Michael Gallup.
Yeah.
Or just CeeDee Lamb.
I know, but you know who screwed that up? The goddamn Falcons. I just knocked over the ammonia.
I mean, Dak Prescott has all 3 of them. And apparently a tight end in Schultz that can catch. Yeah. But just give him one. I mean, he really JJ, and then all of a sudden he was, he wasn't feeling good, and he was walking off the field in pregame with Howie, and people thought he was getting traded, but then apparently he was limited during the game. It's a circus at the wide receiver position for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yep. I mean, there were wide receivers on the market. DeAndre Hopkins, Stephon Diggs. You didn't take them because you didn't want to waste the draft picks. Then you wasted the draft picks on Jalen Hurts. You had to give up a second-round pick to get DeAndre Hopkins. You didn't do it, and then you draft a backup quarterback. You're just allowing this guy to fail. We have mentioned it as like a joke.
Yep.
But this Carson Wentz could go to Carolina tomorrow, and they're competing in the NFC South.
Agreed.
And I'm not trying to just write this off and say Carson's playing well. He's not. But he is a product of a bad environment right now. It's a bad environment. It's a bad team. It's an undisciplined team. And he tried to will that team to a win. And Doug Pederson tried to will them to a 1-yard carry so that it could be a 58-yard field goal instead of a 59-yard field goal. What a coward.
I mean, we also kind of talked about this with our interview with John Marks last week, too. The difference between not only the players on the field, but the emotion of the team compared to 2017 and now. You watched that game yesterday and you could heads are down. They don't seem into it. They're just, but then you look at some videos from 2017 with that team when they were doing the icky shuffle on the sideline and that video before the NFC Championship game where they were just going nuts to Meek Mill. I mean, right when you saw that video right there, the game was over. The Vikings might as well just go back into the locker room. It was over. You see none of that with this team.
No, and I think this has been my theory all year. There's been so much negativity around this team from literally since the offseason, since the draft. They took Jalen Hurts and they created a QB controversy. Deshaun Jackson had his Hitler thing. Jason Peters took the team hostage. Zach Ertz complained about his contract. You've had nothing but negativity around this team. They just needed to get a win to feel to get some positive vibes, and they just can't do it. If they get one win just to feel good, just to feel happy. How hard is it for us to just feel happy for 5 minutes? I can't stand it. I watch the Eagles play to tie. I watch the Phillies. I wake up, I go to the dentist. Could I just feel happy for 5 minutes? And I guarantee you in that locker room, they feel the same way. I want to feel happy for 5 minutes of my life.
You want to go back to quarantine is what you want.
I was better off there. Way better off. I took online classes. I learned shit. I didn't waste my time with fantasy football and Eagles football. It was way better.
So before we move on to the Cowboys, any significant other injuries yesterday? I know Deshaun got hurt. It looked like Slay came out for a little while with an arm injury. Anything of note after the game?
Dallas Goedert's probably going to be out a while with an ankle. He was really the only one producing for the offense. So where they go from here, I do not know. Yeah, I mean, they have nothing. This offense has nothing. And we can keep blaming Carson Wentz, but he doesn't draft the players on the team. So,
well, we will talk about previewing next week, but they go on the road to San Francisco for a night game against a team that just put up 36 against the Giants with Nick Mullins yesterday.
yeah. That could get ugly. That could go one way. They're going to either pull that out of their ass or they're going to get blown out.
Well, and I'm not going to, again, talk about next week yet, too, but I think the Dallas Cowboys get handed to by the Browns. So we'll talk about that next week.
Let's get into this game this week first, because I'm shocked that you are writing them off against the Browns, because I mean they kind of held their own against the Seahawks.
They did. But
so how do you feel?
They can't stop the run, and I just see Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt just running wild. But so I'm not as upset with this loss as I kind of thought I would be tonight talking. I sort of went into this game thinking it was going to be an L anyway. And being able to score 31 points with a complete makeshift offensive line is actually sort of impressive. Now, I know this Seattle's probably I keep saying a top 3 team, but their defense pretty much stinks. They give up long plays, sort of just like the Cowboys do. Now Jamal Adams got hurt with a groin. Who knows how long he's going to be out. They don't get a ton of pressure. So, putting up the 31 points against Seattle, it's impressive, more of the fact because of the offensive line they're working with. Literally mid-game. Ready for this?
Yep.
Literally mid-game. The Cowboys benched their right tackle in Steele, who is the rookie undrafted free agent from Texas Tech, who started there the first 2 weeks. And now all of a sudden, Stephen Jones is saying he had a tummy ache during the game and didn't feel good. So then we just, we took him out. No, he sucked. He sucked the entire season. So they benched their right guard. They take their all-pro, or their right tackle, excuse me. They take their all-pro right guard, Zach Martin, and move him to right tackle. And now he's probably going to be the top 2 right tackle in the league. They then take their center, Joe Looney, who, again, nice guy, not a great player. They move their starting center to right guard, and then they bring in a rookie center, Biotish, to play the rest of the game. And then they have Connor Williams, who stinks, still at left guard. And then they had Brandon Knight, another undrafted rookie, second-year player, at left tackle, because Tyron Smith is still hurt and Lyle Collins is still hurt. And now it's heard that Lyle Collins is staying on the IR, and they're hoping he does not need hip surgery.
Yikes, that would be bad. Yeah, that's a bad situation. There's nothing else I can say. That's just bad. I'm glad you picked up your drink as soon as I said that, because, I mean, that's not survivable. I'm sure Dak's sitting back there like, I'm in a contract year, and this is what you're putting in front of me.
And he still threw for 475 yards.
Great. And they still lost.
Exactly. But don't. Colin Clownherd and Stephen A. Smith. If I hear one other say that they have one of the best lines in the league, it's over. Bury it. Put it in the ground. It's done. It's not 2016 anymore. I've said it every week in this podcast. Listen to me. It's over.
You did call
him Zach Martin. They have Zach Martin. That's it. He can't play all the positions. He's playing one, and now he's playing out of position and playing that position better than anybody else could play that position for them. God.
Yeah, it's rough. That was that outcome is kind of what I expected. The Cowboys scoring points and then Russell Wilson just being in Seattle, so you knew like a late touchdown was coming, because you've watched that movie 6 million times.
And the Cowboys playing unreal. Also gifted sort of a lot to that game. The game could have went big time in Seattle's favor with the DK Metcalf catch and run touchdown. He pulls a Deshaun Jackson, and my boy Trayvon Diggs comes up and punches it out, so the Cowboys get the ball. They could have scored easily over 40. However, I mean, Dallas missed 2 extra points. Again, special teams just haunting them. This team just, again, I think last week they used all their juju on special teams on that goddamn watermelon kick that they lost all of their special teams juju for this week. And then Tony Pollard decides to muff a punt in kickoff in the end zone, and then he just looks at it, doesn't know what to do, and then it was, oh, crap, now if someone else touches, it's their ball, and then falls on the inch-yard line, and then Zeke gets tackled in the end zone for a safety. So that's points that they gifted them right there that it's just unbelievable. And they could not help themselves with starting field position yesterday. I think their best starting field position was the last drive of the game, which came from the 25-yard line. Their shortest touchdown drive this season is 65 yards. They can't help themselves. And again, that's special teams killing them.
It's a parallel between these two teams. Is the small things aren't there. That's what a bad team does. They do the little things wrong. And that's what we're seeing from both of our teams. That's a perfect example, like field position. Like you mess that up and you take it out to the 1 yard line, then it turns into a safety. Then they get the ball back. They have all the momentum. It's little things, and these teams just can't figure out little things. It's bad for business because, I mean, what are we going to do? Bitch for 16 weeks that these teams can't figure it out? Because that's where we're going.
I hope not. But something that I hope they can figure out now. Obviously, they scored 31 points yesterday, and scoring 31 points usually you're in a ball game or you should win the ball game. But I mean, I want to know what week that Mike McCarthy is going to take over play calling, because Kellen Moore, God bless him, great quarterback at Boise State, nice backup. He's apparently the next Sean McVay. Not.
Really?
He's running 47 screen passes yesterday. Zeke dropped about 8 of them, but he kept feeding it to him. He kept dropping it. And then at the end of the game, it's 2nd and 13, and you're trying to drive to win the game. And he runs a screen pass that gets 2 yards, and he doesn't get out of bounds, and they have to burn a timeout. What are we doing?
Yeah, I have noticed, and someone like Mike McCarthy, if you remember, he had that story where he was like, all right, I'm going to go into this bunker and do nothing but watch football and learn about the game, study it, and make myself better. Like, if you lived in a bunker for a year and did nothing but watch football, would you want someone else calling the plays after that? No.
Especially, he was quoted after he was fired in Green Bay that I will never give up play calling ever again. And he comes to Dallas, and before one game, what does he do? Gives
it up to Kellen Moore.
Because it's Jerry's boy. He's the one coach that is kept over from the last 2 years from this Jason Garrett era. You think Mike McCarthy really wanted to keep him on the staff?
Hell no. Every coach wants a new guy. And also, here's the thing, like I said, he wanted to be the play caller because he studied for that long. Like, if you do that, you want to bring in your offensive coordinator who's going to agree with everything that you just learned.
Yep.
And Kellen Moore's not going to do that. He learned somewhere else with somebody else. Like, you're joining these two parties together, and it's not going to work.
Yeah. The somebody else is the offensive coordinator of the Giants, which is one of the worst offenses in the league.
Yeah, exactly. We talked about this, but either throw it away or don't. But like him studying for that long in a bunker by himself and then coming out and then
having an ESPN special.
Offense. What's that?
And having an NFL Network special about it.
Yeah, exactly. And then coming out and not running the offense. That's like when in Dark Knight Rises, when Batman goes and lives in that cave forever in like that prison. Like, imagine him getting out and then like telling Robin to go fight Bane. That's exactly what Mike McCarthy just did.
Yep.
I also can I bring this up because this is the thing that I gathered from the Cowboys, and I want to know as a Cowboys fan how you feel. It was 38-31. It's a game that we expected. It was 40-39 last week. The Rams game was 20-17, but they gave up over 400 yards to the Rams. Mm-hmm. This to me doesn't seem like a survivable, sustainable way of life. Do you
Nope.
think that the offense is so good that they'll be all right? Or at some point, does this just become a disaster?
It's already become a
Because
disaster.
okay. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, they're 1-2, so it's not like it's going well. But I was just curious if you thought that if the offense could just make up for all of these issues that the defense causes for them, or if it
If
just balances out and they just go 8-8 again.
if they had if they get Tyron Smith back and Lyle Collins came back, I would say possibly. With the makeshift offensive line that they have right now, not a shot. I mean, even going against bad teams like the Washington football team, where's their strength? That defensive line.
Yeah, I learned that
Even
the
going
hard
against
way.
a bad team like the Eagles, where is the strength? The defensive line.
No, I mean,
Against the Cowboys offensive line, it will be.
well, I mean, I use the word strength with any position group on this team very loosely, but I do see your point. I do see what you're saying.
No,
Yeah.
I'll go into the defense now. I mean, and that's obviously the worst part of this team right now. So if you've been listening to Birds vs. Boys, I have a clown crew for the Cowboys.
Well, wait. You had one guy. Now you have a whole crew.
Oh, we got a crew.
Can
We have
I?
a circus.
If you don't add the one guy, I'd like to add one person to the crew. But go ahead. I'd like to
Absolutely.
hear the whole circus now. Now
So
we
I
have a
the
clown. We have a whole clown
crew
car.
circus. There are invitations being sent out. If any other Cowboys would like to sign up, all you got to do is not show up on the field next Sunday. I actually tweeted the clown crew picture. It was retweeted by a couple Cowboys media personnel, and now people are coming at me saying, you forgot this guy, so now I'm having to add other clowns. But the clown crew president was started with Clown Lawrence. Again, did not show up yesterday. Again, the $100 million man. Again, he was limited with a knee, but in crucial positions in the game, just not on the field, just not there. We then had Clown Smith. He stays definitely in the clown sorority. The only play in the entire game that Clown Smith made was a holding penalty that he drew, and that was his best play of the game. We have a great analogy. My buddy Matt Yost and I watching the game. He is a robot. He literally just if one thing, he needs to just go one speed, and if something goes wrong, he just doesn't know what to do. It's just I'm going to make this tackle, and then the guy runs right, and he's like, well, I'm just going to keep running this way because this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And it's terrible. He can't change direction. I feel bad for him with the drop foot, but I mean, I love Jalen Smith. You see, I got the Notre Dame shirt on. I'm a Notre Dame guy, and I love Jalen. But Jalen, Clown Smith, you're not the same player you were at Notre Dame. Stop trying to be that guy. Play your position and stop trying to make every play that you're never going to make. You can't catch that guy anymore, okay? If you decide to do that, maybe you'll get your first name back.
Oh, I think he's the only one I think who could earn it back.
I agree. Now,
continue with the clown car because I knew those two, but I feel like you've added to.
Now we're adding Clown Griffin.
Oh, he was on the fence. He was on the fence. I know you were a little bit upset.
So Clown Griffin decided to go on a Twitter tirade last week against Jeff Kavanaugh from 105.3 The Fan in Dallas. Jeff always watches film. He was critiquing Everson's somewhat bad play in the first 2 weeks. Griffin lost his mind on him, said, you don't know what you're talking about, blah, 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 blah. It was on TMZ. They went back and forth. And then Everson said that he was going to change up. They were going to be playing with his hand in the dirt, 3-point position. He wasn't getting power from his hands and his legs standing up. He changed everything this week, and he came out of the game with one tackle.
Yeah. Glad that technique change helped for you.
One tackle. Not even he didn't have a QB rush. He didn't have nothing. One tackle. So those are the captains of the clown crew. And then we also have Clown Lewis, Clown Worley, and Clown Thompson. The one safety and 2 corners. And I'll tell you why. The secondary is a joke. They're beat up. Awuzie is not out there. Not that he's anything to be wonderful about. chip on my shoulder, literal with tattoo. Anthony Brown is out. He's hurt. So they're down to Daryl Worley, Trayvon Diggs, a rookie who has become all of a sudden their lockdown number one corner, and Jordan Lewis. And then they have old school Brandon Carr coming in, helping out when needed. But in a drive with the game in the balance, third down, Daryl Worley, pass interference, move the chains. Same drive, third down, Jordan Lewis, hold, move the chains. Same drive, second down, in the end zone, Brandon Carr, pass interference.
Yikes.
I mean,
it's the undiscipline that I'm talking about. Like, these things turn in, like, these little penalties all add up, and all of a sudden you're down the field and you give up a score.
And they're veteran
Or you
guys.
go the wrong way.
Like, they're not. I get Trayvon Diggs getting beat down the field by DK Metcalf. I understand it. But these are veteran guys making stupid mistakes. And then you have these safeties. I mean, Xavier Woods, he just, every time you see a play, he's getting sucked up. I don't know what he's seeing. There was no crossers. There was no underneath, and he's getting sucked up. And then bang, Tyler Lockett is in the middle of the field. And I think I was closer to him on my couch in my basement in Pennsylvania than any Dallas Cowboy defender was on the field.
He cooked you guys. It was bad.
Mark the tape. I said last week that Lockett may go off for 200 yards out of the slot. Now, he went for 100, but he had 3 touchdowns.
He did have 3 touchdowns. You did call that. You did call that.
and Jerry, I mean, the Darian Thompson experiment needs to end. I get now they don't want to bring in Earl Thomas. And before the Earl Thomas news to the Texans came out, Stephen Jones was on the phone with 105.3 The Fan saying, we really like the guys in our campus. First of all, you're not at Texas Tech. It's not a campus. You run a professional football team here, okay? You like the guys in your locker room, I think you would say. I don't know what, but there's other safeties out there. I don't think there's a chance in hell that Jerry Jones would bring Eric Reed in, because that's just not going to happen.
No.
But
no.
Darian Thompson you said, can this be sustainable? Darian Thompson being the safety of the Dallas Cowboys cannot be sustainable. No, this defense is Swiss cheese. I think Baker and that running game of Cleveland is going to shred them next week.
We'll get into that next week, because I'm very curious about that, where you kind of, I don't know. I'm not big believers in the Cleveland Browns. So
I'm not believers of them either, but I'm believers that they can run the football, and they can't stop anything.
That's fair. Well, I'll say this. I'll say 2 last things before we get out of here on the Cowboys. One, the only thing that would make it a sustainable way of life for you guys is maybe you pull these shootouts out against a team like the Falcons, and it won't matter because you could do it 7 times out of 16 and still win the division, because this division is a joke. Like, it is a sustainable way of life because you guys have the only competent offense in the entire league. And then my other thing, I would like to, if I have your blessing, could I formally add someone to the clown crew?
Please.
I will need your help with the name, but the scumbag piece of shit defensive tackle who
Tristan
wanted to, what's his name?
Tristan Hill.
Kristen Hill.
Tristan with a T.
Tristan. Okay. It would have been worse if he had a
Clown Hill.
Yeah. Clown Hill.
Oh, you know who this is? This is the guy we've been talking about.
Guy who doesn't wear gloves.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't trust a guy who doesn't wear gloves. Yes. So I would like to add Clown Hill to the clown crew because he's a scumbag piece of shit who tried to rip a guy's leg off. He probably should be suspended for the year. This is one of those things, like, if Roger Goodell was good at his job, every player on social media came out today and was like, yeah, this guy's a scumbag. Like, you can't have this. Like, this would be such an easy, like, all right, he's suspended for the year. But Roger Goodell's not good at his job, so he'll probably get fined $15K and tear Wentz's other ACL week 7.
And for some reason, Tom Brady will get suspended 2 games for it.
Yeah. it'll be the Patriots' fault. Robert Kraft will be under investigation for that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that was
What a scumbag.
I didn't see it live that it was that kind of play. I thought it was more that when Antoine Woods fell on him, I thought that was the issue. But watching it back, the Gator roll, it's not a pretty. And this is every account of who Tristan Hill is. Everybody says that's not the type of guy he is. He also doesn't have enough clout in the NFL to pull something off like that. I would get if it's like an old, veteran who's on his last legs just trying to hurt somebody. That's why I was very confused by it. But it's not a good look, and not a look that I'll tell you that any Cowboys fan is backing whatsoever.
Can support. Yeah. That was I was hoping he got added to the clown crew. So thank you for
the reason he's not added is because he's actually been he was the 2nd round draft pick last year, and he was basically had a red shirt year because he had big floppy boobs. He didn't apparently know how to hydrate. They said he did not know how to stay hydrated. But now he's been showing up and he's been hustling and he's been making plays. So that's, I need some guys that are actually making plays and not to be in the clown crew, but I will accept him into the clown crew for you.
Yeah, cool. He's been making plays. Well, guess what? He probably won't be making plays these next few weeks because he probably should be suspended. We'll see if he is, but usually like public outcry, cancel culture, this time it's like actually justified, but when players are the ones saying, and blue check mark, like NFL guys are like, this is scummy, then you're in trouble. So
even Pete Carroll coming out saying he was, quote, really pissed.
Yeah. See, when that stuff starts happening, then you usually get suspended unless a guy takes a cheap shot at your quarterback in the back of his head, then nothing happens. But most times this is when things.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, so we have a loss and a tie. We're drinking bourbon and ammonia. And Andrews is hurt in the end zone. Okay. Well, happy Monday Night Football.
Nothing will go right in the world. Nothing, just nothing. Nothing will go right.
I would also like to do one shot. Free Chase Young. Now he's hurt in Washington. And I just, I hate this. I hate everything.
It's a miserable division. It's a miserable year. I have a headache from this pneumonia. I'm not going to lie. This might have been a bad idea. I legitimately have a headache. This is the worst. This is not rock bottom, but it kind of feels a little bit like that. It kind of feels like I hit my head on a rock at rock bottom. This is bad. This is bad. I have nothing else left to say. And I hope I don't spend the next 13 weeks of the show doing the same things where I'm like, this sucked. Our team sucked. I'm going to drink bleach. I wish I need a win so bad. I'm done. You say your piece. I'll see everybody the next time.
Thank you for listening to Birds vs. Boys. We will be back with you on Thursday, possibly with a very special guest. It is not locked in yet, but it is possible. And if this special guest comes, Cowboys fans, you will be very, very elated. But until then, as always, I am KMess. He is Aidan Powers. You can find him with a lot of underscores and a little bit of bleach on Twitter. And we will be back next week to preview week 3 and give you our power rankings of teams, which neither of ours will be in the top 5.